I've been needing to find a new apartment, which has not been easy with credit as bad as mine. Luckily, I found cosigning.com. They connected me with a cosigner who helped me get my dream apartment for me and my dog. I just paid a small fee and was able to move in fast. Get the cosigner you need for the apartment you want. Check out cosigning.com today.
So you mean to tell me nobody from the black community, nobody who lives in DC or Chicago, you mean nobody who's a Democrat on the left, you mean not a single soul has made one suggestion, presented one proposal on what to do to preserve and to extend black life in their cities? Why is it only Trump or conservatives that are trying to find solutions on how to keep black people from killing each other in these cities? Because let's be honest, there's no Asian on Asian um, epidemic. It's not white on white. It's not brown on. It's specifically we have to send the military into these cities to protect black people from each other. Now, when you hear the word black leader, you would assume that someone in their group would be having a multitude of proposals, but they don't. The only thing they're asking for is for you to give them money, but giving you money hasn't helped at all. 10, 15, 20 years. Democrats have actually ruled over some of these places for a century, and the Black Death continues uninterrupted. And they have a huge issue with the fact that Trump now wants to interrupt. The stats are crazy, but I'm pointing out, I'm watching this episode of Timcast. You got Luke Radowski, you have Tim, you have different people, and we're all sitting here pontificating from the right on what we can do to stop the bloodshed in these black cities. And no one else cares to do it. And I don't know why. Even the black people on Facebook and these other groups that leave me comments and say stuff, I'm like, okay, cool. You don't want Trump in your city with the military. Okay, fine. What do you propose? Because it's similar to my theory that it's wrong. Why would you? It's like telling someone to quit a job, but you don't have another job for them lined up where they can go work. It's like telling somebody, hey, you know what? Move out of your house. I don't like your house. But in the same breath, you're like, oh no, I don't have a house for you. You can't come stay with me. I don't have somewhere for you to go, but you should leave over there. How are you going to tell someone what's the wrong way to do something when you don't have a better alternative to even offer? I don't understand it.
Is very severe, is very real. And we're not talking about thousands of troops. We're not talking about martial law. We're talking about, what was it, 100, 200 troops that are also there?
Yeah.
So I understand that argument
And
as
by
well.
the way, another thing that boggles the mind here is you look at, there's a crazy stat that people don't know about DC. And I don't know the stats about Chicago, but I'm assuming they're just as stark, if not more.
Yes, they are stark. The stats are, I think only 1% of the murders in DC were not black. I think in Chicago, I think only like 4% are not black because they're Hispanic. But the other 95+% black people. But I have this weird memory of 2020 when they were screaming about, well, Black Lives Matter and we don't need the police. We'll police ourselves. That was a lie. They haven't policed themselves. They haven't been able to govern themselves. Their cities have fallen into disrepair. These cities are now Mad Max style. Kurt Russell escaped from New York, escaped from LA. We're literally there in different parts of the country. Literally, Trump is trying to reverse it. We're trying to take our cities back, but these cities have already fallen. And it's as bad as it's at the leadership level. These are people that are going to have to be removed. We are not going to be able to we're not going to be able to play nice forever. They're eventually going to have to be voted out, but it just depends. These are now criminals. They're not even elected officials. They're criminals. I mean, they got in with fraud in the first place. This, to watch so many people die, for example, I'm looking at this page in Chicago, right? And you see all the young black men that have been shot and killed in the days before Trump arrived. Just dead. Not saying that, they're these were all perfect people themselves, but this is a lot of life gone. And I distinctively remember some of these people making fun of Charlie Kirk. But how could you criticize Kirk on how to stay alive when you can't even keep your own children alive? You can't keep yourself alive. You're holding on by a thread right now. You can't even live around each other. You literally have to put white police officers, white military men in between individual black people just to keep them alive. And no one, and when I tell you no one has a better suggestion, I've looked. Does Brandon Johnson, the mayor, have a better suggestion? He does not. He said, just let them keep killing each other uninterrupted. We can't allow that. It's bad for business. It's bad for the health of the country. Does J.D. Prisker have a suggestion on what to do to stop the gang violence? They don't want to add more police, and magically the funding that they request for intervention just seems to not put a dent in anything, and it just disappears. We all know Chicago is a city known for corruption. So what do? Just let it keep going like this for another 10, 20, 50? When does it stop? When does it stop? Or when does it spread? When does this type of culture spread to other cities? This is a lot of people dead in the last week. This is a lot of men gone. Now, we don't know what their potential would have been had they survived, but the only person that I see looking to extend the lifespan of some of these black men is Trump. Bringing in the military, and if somebody would have did a drill and went out and killed these men today, they probably didn't go because of the military. Now, once the military is gone, it's back to business. But even if it can extend their lives for another few weeks or a few months or even a year, in my opinion, that's better than nothing. In my opinion, that's better than what's being offered right now, which is literally nothing.
In DC, from 2018 until Trump deployed, took over law enforcement in District of Columbia, there was like 1,200 murders from 2018 until 2025. Guess how many of those murders were white? Any idea?
Was it most of them?
No, like the people that were murdered, 1,200. How many of them were white? 11.
Wow.
So you mean to tell me, people keep telling me, oh, what about the white on white crime, Rico, and white blah, blah. Shut the fuck up. Out of 1,200 murders, only 11. That's less than 1%. 12 would be 1% of 1,200. That's an astonishing number. You know Trump's not the answer, but you don't know what is the answer. So how do you know Trump's not the answer? I'm from LA. I've seen what it's like when we don't have police anymore. I used to be anti-police. I used to say all the bullshit until I remember during 2020 when you would call 911 and nobody would show up. Now, me being a big, strong man, I can handle myself. But my neighbors who don't have husbands or boyfriends, when people were breaking into their homes and they were calling 911 screaming and no one came, I kind of understood that if I had to choose between the black community or law enforcement, I choose law enforcement. Period. I'm sorry. We need police. Again, monsters are real. They live, they're real life. And they don't necessarily have to be under your bed or in your closet. They jump through your windows. They'll knock on your doors and they'll kick it in. Now, in America, the way it works is you're supposed to be your own first line of defense. However, because of liberal policies in Democrat-ran states, you are defenseless. Your right to bear arms has been circumvented. There is no concealed carry. You are not supposed to have weapons, and if you do use it, even in self-defense, you will be prosecuted. Granted, in 2 to 3 years, when you go to trial, you'll be exonerated by a jury, but your life will be in shambles. You'll lose everything while you're in prison awaiting trial. That's typically how it goes for people in California or Nevada, Oregon, Seattle, when you try to defend yourself. So you got to understand, it's a psyop. These people, they don't want the crime to stop, but then they also push for gun confiscation and the removal of self-defense laws. They want you to be a sitting duck. Right now, it's a little too hard to get to us. So they're trying to see how they can break down our defenses, literally with the actions and the things we've seen over the past couple of weeks. That's just fortified our positions even stronger. You have to protect yourself. There are people out there looking to do you harm. You saw what happened to the Ukrainian girl when she allowed a monster to sit behind her. You can't do that. You have to live life like you're on the run. We are no longer in Kansas. This is Oz.
11. That means that
I know it's going to be a big number or a small number.
Yeah, 11. So Trump comes in, takes over law enforcement. You know, there was a lot of the tweets you were seeing for a while were like, no murders for this much, which, by the way, in the height of the summer was truly remarkable, right? Because that's killing season. The summer is killing season. There wasn't any murders. And then we finally had one, right? But
it took the military being implemented by the President of the United States to extend the lives of Black men, specifically in the Washington, D.C. area. Unfucking believable. There are no Black leaders. There's nobody. Nothing. Why did it take Trump, who's not even a part of the Black community, why did it take initiatives from him to literally physically prevent and extend the lives of people, even if it was for a matter of weeks or a matter of months? You know, for somebody who's laying on their deathbed, they'd give it all for one more day. Life is precious. It should be treated as such. The amount of gratitude the people of these cities owe our president is immeasurable, because you can look at the stats of how many people were dying on average, and then it just stopped. But it's a roll of the dice. You don't know exactly who it was going to be. It could have been you. It could have been somebody you know, somebody you met. He extended life when everything around you is saying, you know what, just let it be cut short. What do we care? And I'm not seeing any of the people on the other side who are talking out against this. I'm not seeing them offer a goddamn thing. Not a solution, not a proposal, not a peace plan, not nothing. But they want to criticize the one person who's even trying. It's disgusting. But I'm not supposed to say nothing. I'm just supposed to wait for Facebook to tell me all the different people that got killed on drills. You know, a lot of these kids are parents. Their kids will never see their parents. Just dead, just gone, shot and killed last week. But you don't want to send Trump in there with law enforcement to catch people who are out here doing these murders. You know, these people who are doing these murders are not first-time offenders. They're repeat offenders. But there's a thing called stop snitching culture. So even when they're arrested, if nobody's going to show up to testify against them, and, you know, there's not going to always be 4K HD cameras catching you committing the crime, these people get off. What they do is they pervert that stat of how many people are exonerated and pretend that that the police are just arresting the wrong people who are innocent. These people are monsters. They are liars. And every lie they tell and every manipulation of the facts equates to more dead people because you're running cover for murderers, for rapists, for child molesters. You're doing whatever you can to cover their tracks so that they don't get caught so they can continue doing this work. Apparently, there's a lot of money in crime for the people at the top. Very few people are benefiting from this. And you have a lot of black families, you have mothers and grandmothers who are left to bury these children. And they're the ones wearing red hats now and screaming for Trump to bring the military. But then you got these other women who also appear to be black, but they're gay. They don't have children. They don't have husbands. And they're screaming at the top of their lungs for Donald Trump to not send the military and to not intervene in these gang wars and these basically no-go zones in these big cities. If you think about it, if I scroll down this list, yeah, this woman was shot right here too, just a few hours ago, and this was in August. If you think about it, Chicago and many of these other black cities, they're what you would call sundown towns because a lot of these black people are being killed after dark. So it's crazy. You want to pretend these sundown towns are these small little rural areas full of white people when they're already in these Democrat-run black cities with these black mayors. Those are sundown towns. I'm from LA. We have a black mayor right now. LA is a sundown town. They cleaned up downtown, but don't go to South Central. Don't go to West LA. It's not safe after dark. A lot of my friends have to fly to Arizona or Texas to go out because it's no longer safe. It's a sundown town. So I beg to differ. Sundown towns actually do exist, but they're just not where you think they are. And it's not the people you think that they are that are turning it into a sundown town. It's the people who are complaining about it. It's just that because they don't believe in free speech and there's a communist element to black culture in itself, people are afraid to speak out because of what the opinions of others will be, because it's a cult. And if you say the wrong things or ask too many questions in a cult, you're removed. But cults, for a lot of people, provide warmth and shelter, and their strength in numbers, and you don't want to be kicked out of the cult. I was never a part of the cult. I'm not a follower. I don't do good in those environments. So it takes certain people like myself that will sit here and try to quantify the data and make it make sense and regurgitate it to my audience. And if they agree, then we can make some headway. Personally, I would hope to inspire other people to make their own videos so they can talk to their own people. People talk about all the bad things about the internet, but the good thing is you can spark a mass awakening, because people will look at certain people like myself. I'm a party dude, regular guy. They're like, well, if he can do it, I can do it. Hopefully it rubs off. I'm going to start doing more speaking engagements. Hopefully one day I'll be on Timcast for an episode and I'll be able to talk to people. I have a decent range when it comes to topics and subjects, but it's just that the subjects that nobody wants to touch on, I'm like, Jesus Christ, you mean to tell me in 30, 40 years, nobody had a suggestion that worked on how to stop black people from killing each other? And if you do want to stop them from killing each other, you're racist. That's actually technically the opposite. Anybody who doesn't have a suggestion on what to do, but are telling you what not to do and telling you Trump is not the answer, if they don't have a suggestion, you can't take them seriously. They're unserious people. You have to ignore them. I do.
What the left says is that they're for the people of color, they're for the disenfranchised, the marginalized, all this stuff. Well, Trump's the one out here saving black lives. You look at the Ferguson effect. You look at George Floyd effect. This is the lack of law enforcement in the communities that need it most results in all of these dead black and brown kids.
You know what's going to happen, though? Let's do a countdown to when the news, with the number of black people dying going way down under Trump's rule, what they're going to say now is number of white people killed in D.C. explodes by 2,490.
No, you're probably right.
Because it's like from
proportional, yeah,
exactly.
But they don't understand statistics or per capita. Right?
They can frame it that way.
Yeah.
Let's jump to the story. We have this from NBC News. Oregon sues Trump administration over deployment of National Guard troops.
Now, Oregon's not a place with an extremely high black population, but it's full of Americans. Trump, though Oregon is on the West Coast has been gone for years. California, Oregon, Washington State, these states have been long gone. These states have detached. They're no longer under the federal umbrella. They get funding, but they don't follow federal laws. They've been controlled by Antifa. And thankfully, Trump has designated them as a terrorist organization. And it's funny, Brian Krasenstein put out a tweet today saying, "Dear MAGA, can you define what Antifa is?" I found a definition, a working definition. I'll read it to you. Antifa explained, the black-clad militant arm of the party, of the Democrat Party, the black-clad militant arm of the Democrat Party, what people call the Black Veil, isn't just about politics. It's a cult made up of radicals who demand society affirm their darkest desires. Has anybody ever met someone that was Antifa or Trantifa? Have you ever spoke to them? I have. So has Andy No, who's been attacked by them and hunted. And, do you not listen to them? I do. This is what they've said. They push to normalize and decriminalize their attraction to children, claiming it's an identity that cannot be changed. In their eyes, Trump is the enemy because he stands in a way criminalizing what they see as their rights. You ever notice that they always say Trump is taking away our rights? But they're a little bit too ashamed to tell you exactly which rights, because we all, gay, trans, as long as you're an American adult, we all have the same access. So what rights are missing? Well, it's equal. It's the rights. They want equal access to children that are not even theirs. That's the right that they feel like Trump is stopping. And Charlie Kirk spoke out against that, which made him a prime target, which is why they want to frame this gay dude that was sleeping with a trans furry, because it does all connect. Trump is the enemy. He stands in the way of criminalizing what they see as their rights. They fight like zealots because they know the truth. If ever unmasked and thrown in prison and other inmates found out why they were in prison for harming children, then to them, it would be a life sentence or a death sentence. So when you see people that are trans or that are MAPS, etc., when they are protesting against Trump and conservatives, they say things like, we're fighting for our lives, which technically is true. You're just not looking further ahead in their shoes. See, in their shoes, they know that if their sexuality or their preference is not affirmed soon, eventually they will be arrested for it. And they want it to be decriminalized like it was in California. If they are arrested for this and are convicted and go to prison, do you know what other prisoners do when they find out that you're a chomo in prison? It is a death sentence. So when they say we're fighting for our lives, that's what they're referring to. That's why the push to decriminalize this and to recognize it as a sexual orientation, not as a crime. That's why the push is so strong. I'm sorry, that's bacon. My bulldog back there, he wanted to come in here. He was a part of the live audience, but apparently he decided to go to sleep, and he's in a deep sleep and he's snoring. So I apologize. So that is Antifa explained. Now, some people call them the Black Army. In my opinion, the Black Army is a combination of the Antifas as well. But when you specifically look into Antifa and the type of projects or the type of protests they favor, they typically go around things that have to do with children, drag queen story out, or all age drag shows, anything to do with kids, and anybody who's fighting back against legalizing physical relations with children, they attack. They attack anybody that actually talks about their agenda and exposes it, because you have to keep it as a secret, because remember, it's still not decriminalized, so it's still a crime. So Antifa, Trantifa, it's all about one thing. It's about kids. So at the end of the day, we have to take back these cities. I remember we had Chaz in Seattle, where it was an autonomous zone where there were just people in there killing each other. No police were allowed. And they let Black and gay people literally just take over certain blocks in an American city. And this was all under Joe Biden. We cannot let this continue. If this is a war, we have to acknowledge that this is a war, and we have to get this over with. We cannot lose our cities, and we can't lose any more American lives. Yeah, you might think some of these Black people in Chicago, well, they're a part of gang culture, they're rappers, they deserve to die. I don't think so. I think some of these men wanted to live. Some of them have children. Some of them wanted to do more. That's why they were trying to do music, and they're trying to figure out ways. But there are evil people out there that hunted them down. What I'm saying is that some of these men, a lot of them are teenagers or kids. They didn't even have a chance at life. So when you see Trump and you're like, well, why does Trump even care? Oh, maybe he's what was the term this idiot coon chimp said today? She said Trump is it was like a word for basically using the Black community. He doesn't really care about us. He's just what did she say? Matter of fact, I can bring it up. Because I was like, well, what do you suggest that is done for these, to help these people? And this is what she said. Let's see here. Because she's definitely not a fan of stopping the Black murder or the Black death. So let's see here what she said. Because I brought it up. I was like, what have you done personally to save Black people from each other? What have you been doing? Have you been talking to people? Have you been making videos about it? What have you done? And she said, let's see here. She said, Trump is not saving Black people. He's exploiting us. He's exploiting us. Now, she's one of those racially ambiguous people, typically like the Kaepernicks. They're fair-skinned, but they want to pretend that they're Black, so they have to denounce the other part of their whiteness. They have to completely denounce it, and they go full militant, revolutionary, but they're not doing anything, not making any action. But everything they're talking about, none of it is actually anything constructive that's going to help save lives. I bring up, well, what are you going to do to get people to stop killing each other? She goes into a diatribe of nonsense. She's bringing up ICE and healthcare. And it's like, bitch, what the fuck are you talking about? What are you going to do with these dead Black bodies that are piling up? Don't worry about the white community. You're not associated with them. You affiliate yourself with the Black community. And get your burning house in order before you start worrying about other communities. And you know what she had for me? She had nothing. Zilch. But yet, we can sit here on Timcast and try to figure out ways to extend the lives of Black people in these cities, even if it's just a little bit longer, because it's better than nothing. And the only person with a strategy that is even remotely seen any results ever is Donald J. Trump. I support my president. I appreciate what he's doing. I hope he keeps going. We do need military in these American cities. We needed them long ago. We need them in LA to stop the murders. We need them in Birmingham, Alabama. We need them in, there's multiple cities we need them in. Shit, we might need them in Phoenix. 17 murders in 1 week. I mean, we need more. We need to restore law and order, because right now it's just looking like things are just falling apart. And the people on the left are celebrating it. They want the destruction. They want the mayhem. I want stability. I want to be able to bring children and knowing they're going to live and I don't have to worry about monsters coming for them. That can happen, but law and order must be restored. Like and subscribe, share the video, leave a comment if you agree or disagree. I'm here to talk. I'll be back with another segment in about 20 minutes. If you're on Rumble, thanks for following. And we're on 6 different platforms. Wherever you leave a comment, I'll see it. Follow me on YouTube, The Single Boyfriend, or Right Wing Rico. Thank you, and I'll see you shortly. Cheers.
I've been needing to find a new apartment, which has not been easy with credit as bad as mine. Luckily, I found cosigning.com. They connected me with a cosigner who helped me get my dream apartment for me and my dog. I just paid a small fee and was able to move in fast. Get the cosigner you need for the apartment you want. Check out cosigning.com today.